What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about what's looking like the end of DMZ, some exciting haunting related content, plus even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and also as a reminder, we got plenty of brand new content going up over on detonated.com, expanding on all the coverage you're seeing here on the channel, just in the form of articles on the website, and plenty of tweets going up over on Detonated's Twitter. As a bit of a reminder of what's going on with Season 6, the season is going in a different direction as opposed to what was the direction of Seasons 1 through 5. The post-launch narrative, so to speak, of Modern Warfare 2 essentially came to an end with Shadow Siege during the mid-season 5 update. So with all of that in mind, here's what's happening with the Season 6 story. The Dark Ritual operators have opened up a gate to hell, letting out many monsters, and among them we have Spawn. He's tasked with sending these monsters back to hell, and in turn helping us with Operation Nightmare, which we'll be seeing on both Mazrah and Vandal throughout the duration of Season 6. As I mentioned briefly in a previous video, I do think Shadow Siege was a fitting end to Modern Warfare 2's post-launch arc and did act as a bit of a cliffhanger for what we're going to end up seeing a follow-up on within Modern Warfare 3's campaign. Although it would have been cool to see a Coney-themed season kind of following up on Shadow Siege, that's essentially what Modern Warfare 3 is going to be for with campaign and of course the post-launch seasons of that game. But there's also several bosses coming to Warzone in its entirety throughout Season 6, and we have the Pharaoh, Swamp Creature, Evil Spirits, the Butcher, plus even more. You can defeat them in either Battle Royale or DMZ to earn a Mastery Weapon Blueprint, and for more information as to how the bosses do severely impact the seasonal challenge event known as the Soul Capture event, similar to Trophy Hunt, I have a separate video talking all about that linked down below in this video's description. It was my video from last night. But here's what was confirmed for DMZ specifically in the recent Season 6 blog post. Now, as I mentioned before as well, the Season 6 blog post almost acts like a mid-Season 6 blog post, since most of the information in there was about the haunting, which doesn't begin until October 17th, a day after the beta ends for Modern Warfare 3 Weekend 2. So we'll of course end up getting a follow-up blog post close to the 17th after COD Next, after the beta, probably talking more about DMZ and even the haunting. But here's what we know so far. If your squad is ready to drop into Mazrah as part of Operation Nightmare, hone your DMZ talents before the mid-season. For Season 6, DMZ focuses on the nighttime hunts for pre-natural entities across the war zone of Mazrah. Prep your team accordingly, as without the pressure of a collapsing circle of gas, DMZ is the ideal mode for obtaining intel on, tracking down, and finally neutralizing monstrous entities from beyond this world. Players can look forward to the all-new Mazrah related events and other activities present within the haunting, which will be coming to DMZ. Now we'll circle back around to the haunting in Warzone, how it'll affect Mazrah and Vandal differently, but first off, a big takeaway is that nothing is coming to DMZ, at least from what we know so far, until the mid-season. And on top of that, during matches of DMZ in Season 6, there won't be the pressure of the collapsing circle of gas. So you'll be able to be in a full match of DMZ on Mazrah, which is what, 40 plus minutes, without ever worrying about the storm or having to exfil. Obviously you'll want to exfil, whenever you're done doing what you're doing, but you don't have to worry about being rushed because of gas. But I'm sure the matches will still be in the 40-minute timer range, and if you don't exfil within 40 minutes, who knows what happens at that point. But also based on the wording, it does seem like you'll want to play DMZ when it comes to taking down those bosses, since yes, you could do it in matches of Battle Royale, but with the pressure of facing lots of other players, whereas there are significantly less players in matches or lobbies of DMZ, so that'll probably be the ideal scenario, with going in to kill the bosses to then get plenty of souls captured for that trophy hunt like event beginning with the mid-season as well. Now if you're like, wait DK, where does this confirm that this is the final update for DMZ? How is this the end of the mode? Well, I made a video a good month or two ago talking about what was confirmed in a private event over at Sledgehammer a little while back. A couple of content creators flew out to actually play Modern Warfare 3 early, talk to devs, and when they asked devs about DMZ and the future of this mode, they just said no comment. And obviously, based on all the information we know so far about Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, the mode is essentially a DMZ Outbreak hybrid. So would they really update DMZ the same year as MW3 Zombies gets its updates? Now you could argue, well DK, how could MW3 Zombies replace DMZ when it's actually a paid on this experience while DMZ is free to play through Warzone? I totally get where you're coming from, but the comment alone from the studio saying they had no comment on that has me thinking that they aren't ready to share what the future of DMZ is. They're probably still planning out how to word the quote-unquote end of DMZ. Right now it's labeled as an in-beta experience. What does it mean when DMZ is out of beta, or will it ever be out of beta? Well, I'll give you this example like I gave in the podcast recently. Multiversus is a game that was playable for a while, was in beta, and once that beta ended, obviously the game is still not released yet, but the game was in beta for a while before they shut it down so they can gather feedback and work on the final launch of the game itself. DMZ could be something similar. Well, maybe they'll bring it back one day, but for now, maybe it'll go out of beta starting this fall and will just not be playable anymore. I hope that's that's not the case because of obviously all the weapon cases you can unlock, the free cosmetics, rewards, faction missions, the narrative that it offered for Modern Warfare 2. I hope it never goes away, but here's the reality, right? There isn't going to be some magical big title update that drops in the middle of October that's obviously just for the haunting, but for DMZ. There's not going to be this period of time during October where all of a sudden they're like, here guys, here's a brand new exclusion zone for DMZ with new weapon cases, new bosses, a big refresh of faction missions, a bunch of new features. There's no way they do that while the haunting is starting, which again, the haunting does play a role with DMZ this time around. It looks like it'll be the ideal mode to go into to fight bosses. There's no way alongside that they also drop a massive update for DMZ that we would have expected at the start of Season 6 or maybe during Season 5 Reloaded. And to really round that out, it looks like the last major update for DMZ was truly the beginning of Season 4 with the introduction of Vandal, which of course featured new weapon cases, new bosses, whole ton of new Easter eggs and features, and new faction mission progress, so on and so forth. Then I would say the last major add-on for DMZ was just recently with the mid-season 5 update through the DMZ Serpentine Mastery Camo, which is an incredibly difficult grind that only the most hardcore DMZ players will go for, but it's something to probably keep DMZ players with, which is something that can mark the quote-unquote end of DMZ as like one final grind, something exclusive that Northern Mode really has in the form of a camo you have to barter for across several maps. It could have acted as such, and with zombies being really close to DMZ this fall, it's just hard to picture that they're going to end up adding DMZ support on the brand new Warzone map, which is supposedly Urzikstan. And as I also brought up recently on the Bombshell podcast, it's very likely for the sake of file size, they're going to swap out Al Mazrah for Urzikstan with Season 1's launch on December the 5th. And if they do that, how does that affect DMZ, since DMZ and Warzone are a part of the same application? So if they get rid of Al Mazrah for DMZ, that would also effectively get rid of Koshai Complex. That's two maps you can no longer get weapon cases for or complete faction missions. So at that point, you're left with just Ashika, Vandal, and Building 21 on the weekends. I mean, at that point, it's almost like they're asking to just shut down the whole mode if you can't have the complete experience. I hope that isn't the case. I'm a huge fan of DMZ, but it's just hard to picture a future for the mode once Modern Warfare 3 rolls around, and especially Season 1 on December the 5th. Now, a quick idea that probably isn't going to happen, at least not anytime soon, is add a DMZ type experience to Warzone Mobile. In my opinion, all vaulted Warzone content, at least in the future, should make its way onto mobile so that you can preserve that type of experience forever, right? We're going to have Verdansk day one on Warzone Mobile. Rebirth is coming at some point since gameplay already leaked out for that map. I would hope to see Fortune's Keep one day, since that was an excellent experience that was very short-lived. It was only in Warzone 1 for what? I think it was 5-6 months. Caldera will probably make its way over there maybe in the future, depending on community reception. I mean, it wasn't always the greatest reception for that map, so maybe not. And then I'd say eventually, hey, maybe throw Al Mazrah onto Warzone Mobile, because without a doubt, throughout MW3's life cycle, then the next Black Ops game, there's going to be at least one new big BR map added at some point during both those games' life cycles, and at least 1 to 2 Resurgence maps added during those games' life cycles as well, which will effectively swap out Al Mazrah, Ashika, Vandal, so on and so forth. That's what happens with live service games, especially battle royales, and I expect Warzone to follow suit with that, as they've been doing. Now, I'll of course make a separate video in the future closer to the Haunting's release to talk more about the specific features coming to the Haunting with Season 6 Reloaded, but as of now, a lot of information was given out already. We'll do a quick rundown of Operation Nightmare, which is going to be on Al Mazrah, and there's also something really special coming to Vandal as well. So we obviously have plenty of bosses and all new secrets you could discover while playing. They're calling Vandal's Haunting event Von Dead, and as they wrote, additional supernatural activities have occurred across Vandal, which has forced a complete evacuation of the city and surrounding area. A demonic incantation by a sorceress has unleashed a zombie outbreak, bringing nightmares to life as the canals of Von Dead run red with blood. Up in the firmament, a rare blood moon hangs ominously in the sky, casting Vandal in an eerie, scarlet-tinged darkness. They give details about the Graveyard of the Witch, the Altars of the Butcher, obviously a big crossover with Doom. They mentioned that Zombies Royale is coming to both Al Mazrah and Vandal. Zombies Royale was a mode that we saw many years ago, and on top of that, Von Dead is under lockdown, meaning a haunting type reskin of the awesome lockdown mode, which as of now has been exclusive to just Vandal. We've never seen lockdown support for Al Mazrah or any other map. And there's also going to be additional exclusive otherworldly loot that you can gather across Al Mazrah and Vandal. They mentioned a haunted box, a Bloodseeker grenade, trick and treat jump scares, so still a lot of cool things are going to be added into Warzone and DMZ, but looking at day one of Season 6, essentially it's just our new multiplayer maps and the new weapons, right? You have to wait until after the second weekend of Modern Warfare 3's beta before everything else confirmed in this blog post does end up coming out. We're talking the challenge event, we're talking all the changes to Warzone and DMZ, the features, and probably most of the bundles. Now, I'm honestly cool with that, and I think this completely makes sense because they want the focus right now to be on the little bits of original content for MW2 day one. Then they really want you focused on COD Next, the multiplayer beta, the marketing for Warzone and Zombies. Then they'll close out Modern Warfare 2's life cycle with the Reloaded update, October 17th, with all the Haunting material. Unfortunately, there's just nowhere in there where I see DMZ getting a big major update. So as of now, it looks like the final update for DMZ is the Haunting related content that we talked about from this blog post. Anything else you guys are hoping for is either going to get added when DMZ makes a return in a couple of years, maybe with a Modern Warfare 4 in 2026, or they'll somehow reintroduce DMZ before that point in time. But let's wait until COD Next, or maybe sometime before MW3 Season 1 for them to officially release the blog post that's clarifying what's going to happen with DMZ once a new Warzone integration happens this fall. Obviously, they gave some clarification a couple of months ago about the shutdown of Warzone Caldera. They'll do the same for DMZ if they are going to indeed shut the mode down or end support for it. Now, that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on what's looking like the final major update for DMZ with Season 6 Reloaded? What are your thoughts on the Haunting related content we discussed, plus everything else? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.